Radio Row Live, last day of the big media boom here at Super Bowl 56, and you can see it's really starting to fill up with the superstars. Emmitt Smith just walked in over there, Jerry Rice walking around here, but my man is sitting next to me, and again, as I grew up as a kid in Arizona, watching him play as a quarterback first and hurting ASU in Arizona, then a legendary coach at UCLA, none other than Rick Neuheisel stopping by for a couple of minutes, and Coach, it's great to have you here again. As a kid in Arizona, ASU and U of A, they kind of weren't good in those days, so it was kind of one of those things where you guys kind of probably look forward to those Pac-10 games at those times, especially as a player. But thanks for being here and being a part of Radio Row.
Oh, you're kind. Listen, Arizona and Arizona State were plenty good when I was playing against them. Those were both great programs. They just didn't want me. It was one of those deals where I was a high school quarterback coming out of Arizona, and I said, who doesn't want a guy who's 6'1", 190 pounds, and runs a 5.2 40? I don't understand it. What's wrong with me?
It worked for Brady, right?
Exactly. So anyway, I walked on to UCLA, and circumstances I kept going up the ladder. Finally got a chance to be the starting quarterback, and fortunately made the most of it.
What are some of your best memories from those college days as a player? I mean, I know if you can go back that far.
Well, that's what I worry about for today's college player. You know, they're brands today. They're worried about name, image, and likeness, and they should be. They're worried about are they going to get their playing time, and if not, are they going to go into the transfer portal? And you understand why they do that. But in the era where I played, we'd go to a school, and you'd have your adversity. You kind of get over it. The tough love of coaching and all that kind of stuff. And there were days that you sat there and go, is this all worth it? But usually you'd find a way to fight through that. And then eventually there was that greener pasture you were always looking for, right? And you'd have that moment in the sun, and you look back and you say, all that was worth it. And that climb, that dealing with adversity and overcoming it, and that's what I wonder about this generation. Are they going to ever get that, given the eject button that can be pressed right now?
Yeah, it's like that's free agency. It's like I didn't get my playing time at Alabama. I'm going to go to Ohio State, and now they can get paid for their brand. And I think the worst part of me being a former player, and not even to that level, but to your level that you got to, is playing that entire season and maybe not getting to that upper echelon bowl game, but getting to a bowl game and go, you know what? I'm about to be drafted. I'm not going to play this game for my team. I think that is the biggest slap in the face.
Well, I don't blame them. I don't blame kids. They're getting advice that nobody will really make that decision on their own. It's advice from those who they trust in their inner circles, whether it be parents or business people, are saying, hey, you can't risk this. And nothing's guaranteed in life, right? A chance to be with the guys who are your teammates, who will be lifelong friends, and to do it one more time in a bowl game, I'm going to roll the dice and say, you know what? It's going to be what it's going to be. If I was worried about injury, I probably wouldn't have picked football. You know, it's one of those things where I want to play, and I feel badly for those who are opting out, not because I'm mad at them. I feel badly because they're missing out on one last dance, so to speak.
And what about the transition you make from that player to head coach? I mean, it was pretty kind of quickly you got to that level, and then the pressures in this market.
I was really fortunate early in after playing. I was in the NFL for a season, and Terry Donahue, my old boss, and rest in peace, Terry. We lost him this last July 4th, but he called me and said, listen, you can hang around the NFL and be the third string, second string quarterback, and who knows, you might get a chance to rise up and play in a Rose Bowl like I had, a Super Bowl, like I had the chance to play in a Rose Bowl in college. He says, but he thought that I would have a meteoric rise. That was his word, meteoric. I looked it up. And then he said, a meteoric rise in coaching. And I got on his staff, and I loved it. I loved every minute of it. An opportunity opened up in Colorado to go and kind of elevate my status on a staff. I was the passing game coordinator there with Bill McCartney. And then he stepped away 1 year later, and next thing you know, I'm the head coach at 33 years old at Colorado, which you always think you're ready. You never really know. But you talk about drinking from a fire hose. That was a wild time. And as I look back, sure, I made a bunch of mistakes, but we did them full speed. We tried hard and won a bunch of games. So I have no regrets about my coaching career.
And then you made that move from Colorado to basically almost like a NFL franchise junior in those times for UCLA.
Well, I left Colorado to go to Washington.
Right.
Yeah, and the Washington experience was great. Won a Rose Bowl, which is the pinnacle, as a Pac-12 coach, Pac-10 at the time. And that was, having gotten a chance to play in a Rose Bowl, to take my team to the Rose Bowl was like the cherry on top. That was too much fun. Marcus Tuiasosopo was our quarterback. How about this? Drew Brees was Purdue's quarterback. Drew Brees just stopped playing last year, and I feel like I'm a dinosaur at this point. But
no, you're not that much older than Brady, right?
I am the self-appointed president of the Fired Football Coaches Golf Association. That's what I am. You asked what my cause was.
Yeah.
I said I'm looking out for all those broke down fired football coaches who are looking for a game.
Well, I got Hugh Jackson coming in too, so we'll continue those. But if you get fired, at least it means you got to that level. I guess you should take it as a positive way, right?
It's part of the business. Everybody's looking for what's going to be the change, and the knee-jerk reaction, and the quickest trigger is to just replace the coaching staff. Sometimes that's the right move, and sometimes it isn't, and we all understand that when we get into the business. But I do know this: football is a wonderful game. Been great to me and continues to be great to me as I get to talk about it as a member of your fraternity now, the media.
Yeah, well, I'm not always proud to be part of this thing. And
we just never let out
right?
the secret that this is really kind of easy.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and
let everybody think this is hard.
Do you ever get that itch though to get back in? I mean, you become a teacher.
Only once a day. Yeah. No, I miss coaching terribly, but I get to live it vicariously. My son Jerry is on the UCLA staff, so I get to talk to him and kind of talk to him about what the issues are on the team, whether it's schematics of the offense and defense, whether it's personnel. And while he doesn't necessarily take my advice to Chip, I get to think through the problems again because there are many. As I like to say, football's not complicated. I mean, you can get as deep into the weeds as you want with scheme. People are complicated, and putting all the pieces together and making sure they're in some form of harmony so that you can be at your best, like the Bengals and Rams have found this way to get here. That's what's the symphony of sorts.
Rick Neuheisel taking a little bit of time. He's got to go in a minute, but I wanted to ask you too, how different do you think it would be for you as a head coach, not just dealing with the day-to-day things, but the social media pressures? You didn't have the internet where people could chime in every day.
Yeah.
You might have somebody write into a newspaper or call into a radio show, but with everything of social media and the demands and then all that kind of stuff, it seems like that's just junk that would just be too much added because you had to deal with the players too, the players tweeting and saying
I talked to Dan Mullen this last year. He and I were at a function together, and he was telling me that everybody who came to his camp this year was less interested in showing how they could run or catch or, cover. They were more interested in getting the Florida uniform on so they could, create their Instagram accounts. It's all about branding now. All these kids want to be branded and build their brands, and we all understand that. But imagine the pressure on their personalities if they're not the guy, so to speak. And so all this comes with a lot of psychological baggage, and I think the coach now has to really be in tune with that. This transfer portal is wild, not just because kids can leave, but also because coaches can push you out. And all that becomes heavy on a youngster. And I just hope they have places for them to get the kind of counseling, to get the kind of information that will help them realize that, hey, you know what? I'm a pretty cool kid myself.
Well, Rick, thank you for joining us for a little bit. It was just, we were walking by in the street corner, and I don't know if many people still recognize you with that young boyish face, but it was really nice to run into.
It was nice of you to recognize me. And I'm glad we got a chance to do this. We appreciate what you do.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
How about a pick? I'm asking everybody.
So if you want to take emotion out of the game, you take the Rams. Rams are the better defensive line. The ability to put pressure on Joe Burrow to corral that thing, I think, is going to be exemplary. The addition of OBJ and the kind of game that he just enjoyed creates a real monster defensive undertaking for Cincinnati. But if you're emotional, then you got to love this Joe Burrow special sauce.
I just hope his offensive line can,
if they can
keep Darnold.
I guarantee you, Zach Taylor's saying to them, if we get this game to the fourth quarter and we're in striking range, we will win the game. And the magic of Joe Burrow isn't his own DNA, the competitive zeal that he has, but it's contagious. Everybody on that team has a little Burrowitis, which means we think we can win.
And quick, as a coach, then, if you know they're going to be crushing every time, are you going to go quick screens, slant?
All sorts of things. You're going to go up tempo, try to tire them out. You're going to get the ball out fast, the quick game, whether it's slants, RPO world, all that kind of stuff. You're going to certainly try to run the ball. You're going to screen and draw.
A lot of no huddle?
I would go a lot of no huddle. Not necessarily to pass, but to get that defensive line trying to opt out in and out of, so that you get shift changes.
Get them gassed.
And if you get them gassed, you can now all of a sudden get a chance to go back and let Jamar Chase figure into this plan.
All right. Well, Rick Neuheisel joining us. Enjoyed my time with you. Hope our paths cross again. I want to reach over and shake his hand. This is a guy that she'll still be coaching. So if you want me to post your number on the screen, no?
No need.
Okay.
No need.
All right.
Fired Football Coaches Association. Hey, listen, you enjoy the rest of your time here.
Thank you, Rick. Rick Neuheisel coming by Radio Row. Hugh Jackson is going to be here in a little bit. Some controversy to talk about in the NFL. So stick with us. Dave Stevens live on Radio Row. It is filling up here in our last day right here on Friday, as you can take a look and see what's going on. It's a little quiet, but if you look over there, and Hugh Jackson has just arrived. So we'll regroup. We'll stop right now and come back and have the legendary coach joining us in just a couple of minutes. So please stay with us. Ability Media live on all platforms. And don't forget, these guys are putting a show together tonight. So don't forget to watch Ability Media on all of our social media platforms from Quinnipiac University.